Ladies and gentlemen, how's she going? Once again, I'm Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. I'm on happy pills. My life's never been better. Someone gave me my legs back. So things are about to get weird. Now, what I want to be getting into here is definitely weird. It's definitely different. It's definitely out there. If you're the type of person that has a difficult time talking about meaningful or what old school people might identify as gay without meaning homosexual, you all know what I'm talking about. Anyways, buckle up. Things are going to get a bit different. So, at the end of the day, what I want to do here is I want to prove that magic exists with scientific means. And the reason why I want to prove that magic exists is that there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people on the edge that don't believe in anything. To me, there's two ways you can believe things. Everything's magical. Everything's real. Magic exists. Love exists. Romantic love exists. And faith can move mountains, and there is an afterlife. All of the angels you ever heard about exist, all the demons exist, and all of that fun stuff. In the middle, maybe we have Buddhism. We have Buddhism. And then on the far right, let's say, I'm going to say it's the far right, we have nihilism. There's nothing there, basically. And we all have been on the edge, looking into the void, and therefore the void was looking into us. You cannot look into the void without having a look into you. You can't battle monsters without becoming monsters. We've all been there looking at the void. That's just part of life. We've all been looking at the void, staring out there, just wanting to jump in. We've all had days like that, and some of us have had worse days. Some of us have days that were so bad that we couldn't even get off the couch. I'm not saying we were watching Netflix. I'm saying so bad. I've heard of people who were so depressed that they slept for 3 days while one of their children starved to death. Wow. It goes far down that way, and there's a lot of us that haven't even been down that far. There's a lot of us that have been further down there than others that nobody knows about. But we all have been, or we all know people who have looked out into the frickin' abyss, who have woken up and suddenly remembered something that they've lost, maybe, who have come across loss, who everything hasn't gone romantically for. Something was different. Something was missing. Something happened or shouldn't have happened, and they get caught there. And a lot of us don't like to do anything about it. A lot of us don't like to get into that stuff. It's yucky. It's whatever. But a lot of those people sit there. They don't ask for help. They end up going out to the forest and blowing their brains out or hanging themselves or some crazy shit like that. Let's face it. This happens. It's unfortunate, but this is gritty. End of the day. So as I've said to people before, there's two kinds of love. There's like romantic love, and then there's bullet to the face love, where you can just predict it. It's not frickin' magical, but it's predictable. It is predictable. It's brutal and it's predictable. And I find this kind of love is chaotic, and I find that kind, it's got its own problems, but at least it's predictable. Anyways, I intend to prove that magic exists by using consumer electronics that I have generally around my place, using religious and new age. I'm talking old school religion, talking old school paganism, and maybe Abrahamic religion stuff. I'm trying new school stuff. I'm gonna use crystals like crazy, like y'all don't even know, and then I'm gonna try some really crazy scientific stuff. But within all of this, I do want it to be within. I do want it to be within reasonability. It has to be believable at the end of the day. But there's people way far out there, and if I can prove magic exists, then I can give them a reason to get out of bed. I can give them a reason to get out of bed. I can give them a reason to get out there. So, like, there's a lot of people out there that have mental problems. I just want to say, there's a lot of people out there that have mental problems. And with guys, if you have mental problems, there's nothing you can do about it. You can go to a head shrink. But seriously, like, I shouldn't be saying this probably, but I don't trust all head shrinks. Like clinical psychologists, I trust them. But it's not like there's just one class of individual that do things with your head that are licensed to help you. There's a lot of them, and they're new, and they don't got their shit figured out. Now, I used to think that way with the antidepressant market, but seriously, it's been like 10 years. I think we're doing pretty good. I think we've got a lot of this stuff figured out. But anyways, proving magic exists. I definitely think it's important. I think it's meaningful for us to prove that magic exists. But one thing that I should put out there is magic exists within chaos, and without chaos, it can't exist. And the act of measuring or observing magic means it no longer exists. Now, old school magic users back in the day, the old school pagans, they would do stuff and they wouldn't tell anybody. It had to be a secret, or else it wouldn't work. It had to be a secret, and they had to have faith in it, or else it absolutely would not work. And that's just the way she goes. They had to have faith. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. It had to be secret. And another thing about pagans is none of them believe exactly the same thing. Like I don't know much when it comes to, let's say, native people. I'm sure that their magical priorities or magical whatever all coincide with each other. But if you're talking about like New Age Wiccan, then you got to have a thame, I think it's called. You got to have a pot, a cauldron. It's good to have a crystal ball, and some salt for a circle of protection. And there's other stuff that you have to have. But these things, okay, so these things that the Wiccan people use, they use not because it has magical powers, but because it unlocks something in their head. Or at least there is a selection of people that believe that. So, so when you understand pagans, you got to understand them the same as Christians. There's so many different kinds of them. And one pagan will have one idea of what works, and then another one. When I say pagan, I mean, oh man, anyone who believes in the Earth Mother, let's say, and doesn't believe in the Abrahamic tradition. Yeah, if you believe in the Abrahamic tradition, and you also believe in the Earth Mother, I gotta wrap my head around that one. But anyways, one of the interesting things I find about the Christian Judeo God is that his first rule for men to God is, you won't have any other people before me. I am the God. I am your only God, and you will not have anyone else before me. Why would a God care about that? He's got all the power. Like, why would it be so important? He wants the faith, and it's important for him to have the faith. Okay, now, faith. That's one thing I want to get into. Faith that can move mountains. Faith that powers the human spirit, perhaps. And we all know about the human spirit. We have the ability to do things mind over matter. If we truly believe, then we can do it. We can walk over hot coals. A 120-pound woman can lift a car off a child in the right amount of time. And this stuff does happen. Is that magic? Is that power going through someone to lift up this unhuman thing? I'm sure we've all heard about this stuff, and a lot of us have heard about this stuff, and we know that these people aren't supposed to be able to do this stuff. But it almost comes down to being a feat of magic, because they're not supposed to be able to do this stuff. With mind over matter, they can. Okay, mind over matter. All right, so. Sorry, let me collect myself here for a second. So, faith. It's all about faith. You have to have faith in it. You definitely have to have faith in it. You can't talk about it. And you have to have faith. God wants faith. Everything is about faith. When you're coming into newer pagan religions right now, you can worship anything you like. Let me show you something that you can worship. Okay. I got Air Commander Starscream over here. Literally, just like if I was in Alcoholics Anonymous, fake it till you make it. If you put enough faith in Air Commander Starscream will have powers. Like, this is way out there, I know, but I'm telling you literally what I learned about pagan religions, okay? I took a lot of frickin' time, so maybe I should tell you a little bit about how I know so much and what I know. I don't know everything, but there is a lot of people out there that I'm going to be calling up to help me with this stuff. I think it's very important. I think it's very meaningful that I managed to pull these tests off, and I'm definitely going to need some people to help me with this stuff, because I'm like 1/3 through my life, and this has been the most important thing in my life to study, to look at, to do. It's the most meaningful thing, and I would like to say that I might know 10% of religions, and that's a lot. Like, holy crud. And with this, with help, with the right people watching, monitoring, I think I can do something meaningful here. I think I can definitely do something meaningful that'll pull people off the edge from the back. I'm sorry if I'm scatterbraining it here, but I do believe I have enough of something that I can do something with. But okay, let me take you into this. The first step that I can prove that maybe I can get your attention and that I can take you through it. Okay, the double slit experiment, the observation experiment within quantum mechanics. All right, so I'm just going to say this quick, and then I'm going to try to find a way to make it easy for you to understand. All right, so let's say I take a Nerf gun, and I'm firing these darts at a board that has two slits, two open slits within it. Let's say these Nerf darts would stick to the wall. So I'm firing through one board that has two slits in it. And it's firing through those slits, and it's going to hit the wall in a slit position. So you're going to see the Nerf darts like this, in a line, sticking to the wall, if there was sticky stuff in it. If I was firing at a board that had two slits in it, right? So let's say those particles that we're firing, let's say those are particles being fired, but like, are particles waves or things? Are they beads or are they waves? So we're trying to understand that. Are they beads or are they waves? So we're trying to understand this in quantum mechanics by firing particles through slits. And on the other side, we should see two slits like this. But they're firing these particles through these ways, and they're not getting slits. They're getting slit, 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 and these look like wave patterns. Let's say you drop two marbles into into water. They'll make wave patterns that will interfere with each other, that will interfere with each other, that will still interfere with each other past the slit to give you a wave pattern and not just two lines. So, once again, firing particles through slits are supposed to make a slit impression on the other side. It's making a wave pattern. How can that happen? So what they did is they monitored these they monitored these protons, these whatever that they were firing through the gun. They were watching it as it was going through the slits, the double slits, and everything was fine. These particles lined up perfectly. This time they watched it. What was the difference? This time they watched it. The very act of monitoring the outcome changed the outcome. The fact that we were watching it changed the outcome. They were, ultimately what was predicted is those particles, that one particle was going through both sides, interfering with itself, and then going on the course it wouldn't normally be able to go on. That's freaking messed up. You screw up the experiment by measuring it, by paying attention, by trying to observe it, by trying to measure it. That's how magic works. Maybe magic works in a quantum way, perhaps. Maybe magic works in a quantum way. Sorry, the kids are upstairs making noises. So maybe magic works in a quantum way. But either way, another way I want to go into this also is that, let's face it, consumer electronics have fallen in prices. We can get anything. So one of these phones, well, is not exactly the most, like, I wouldn't be getting information from one of these things that I could put in a Harvard thing, let's face it. But with one of these phones, one thing I definitely can tell is I can tell, as long as it's good hardware and no cheap stuff has been thrown into an Apple phone, I can see if the electromagnetic spectrum, if something happens. I can't get an electromagnetic readout that's perfect with these, that will give me something that I could like operate on somebody with, like a life-saving. It's not a life-saving kind of thing, but it is good enough to tell me if there is or is not something electromagnetic in the area. I've tested that. We know. I got a camera on this thing. I got a thermometer. These things always have thermometers for their CPUs. So if there's a spike with sound, electromagnetic waves, visual, temperature, I can use that. I can use that to get information to get information, just to see if there's something there. So let's say my theory is wrong, that that magic doesn't exist within chaos and is nothing to do with quantum mechanics. Let's say it has nothing to do with quantum mechanics. If that's wrong, I still believe that that I can make contact. I think I should try this within a safe setting. And this is, I got to do a lot of research to figure out how to do it with a safe setting. Anyways, so back in the day, I used to play with Ouija boards with my buddy Philip. We had a great time. We learned a lot. I learned a lot about it. It really seemed like the Ouija boards in the end was really just something that came from me, inside of our heads, something like that. But what I thought was really odd is every now and then, randomly, this Ouija board would just start going M-A, mad, angry. I had no idea what it meant at the time. Did some research, found out the Ouija boards don't like having animals around. And that was something that we noticed before we knew the rules. So it's interesting. We came in there and we found something interesting, something that neither of us understood, but was universally understood. So there's a lot of research out there that a Ouija board is actually the things that are in your own head. The things that are in your own head. And I did know it, and my mom actually, she messes with Ouija boards with big groups of people. And she told me a story about they were trying to channel a good spirit, but they're channeling a really evil one. And the person sitting, one of the people sitting in the room, the person that ran it, knew that this energy was really coming from one of the people. So one of the things I'm really worried about, that if I'm going to try experiments that might involve things from the fourth dimension, possibly demons. Yeah, look at this crazy stuff I'm talking about. But seriously, I think this is a meaningful thing. Perhaps demons, perhaps we can get abducted by demons. Perhaps demons can jump into us. And I always hated it when people at the church said, oh, demons, because, man, that used to always tick me off, because then you didn't have to have personal responsibility. You could just blame the demons, right? I didn't like that. But then as I got to be playing Magic, I found, I think it was boar, some kind of boar. Anyways, it had a quote from the Bible saying Mark was pulling demons out of people and sending them into pigs. Like, what the heck? That's, it just, and I'm pretty sure that Muslims and Jews believe in the same thing. Okay, one thing you got to understand about Muslims, Jews, and Christians is that they all come from the same thread. That's the Abrahamic religion. So there's Christians and Muslims have a lot more to do with each other than they think. So anyways, the story about this demon. They had a demon at the table. The demon was probably just something inside that other chick. She was making her own demons with her issues in her head. So yeah, she had a demon, and it was within her, and she made it herself. What if demons? What if angels? What if magic? What if all of this stuff is just something that exists within our minds? What if it is a power that radiates off of us? Because, okay, this is going to sound crazy, but there is evidence to say that there's energy coming off of us that might not exactly be an aura, but something like that. So these McDonald's toys, okay? These McDonald's toys came out. I got a big puffer fish, and there was this thing that if you touched the bottom of it, it would light up. So I would touch one side. My buddy would touch my hand. His buddy would touch his hand. His buddy would touch his hand. His buddy, you know? And then he touched the other one, and bam, that thing turned on. There's something there. I really honestly got to look more into that. But seriously, faith can move mountains. The placebo effect is real. So then where does this all come from? Deep within our minds? Maybe if we believe in God, perhaps he exists. Perhaps just in our own minds. Perhaps we have some kind of a magical power. Perhaps this faith, this human spirit that we have is a magical power that only we have. Or some kind of, whatever. When I say magic, I mean all kinds of things. If I say magic, my mom says energy. It's basically the same thing. But also, the cost of magic, of using magic, is chaos, and there's always a price for manipulating magic. So I think that's good just to get those things out there. I think this is batshit crazy, but I think that it's time that more people started experimenting with this kind of stuff. So there definitely is the possibility that I'm playing with fire. Look, let's face it, there could be things on the fourth dimension. There could be things within a dimension that we don't comprehend that are watching us. And Christ, that's some scary stuff. That's some stuff about the government doesn't even want you to think. And now we almost seem to be entering the area of conspiracy theory. But if we're experimenting with chaos, can we really stay out of there 100%? I mean, let's talk about conspiracy theory. You know what? About 1/4 of it turned out to be right. Man, that's terrifying stuff. The Snowden leaks. I still remember when my old retired military buddy was taking me around the streets, and we just talk, and he told me. He told me about declassified stuff that, oh man, it took so long to get declassified for him. Anyways, he told me he heard that the Americans have this underground base that they just record phone calls and just all this information, just huge amounts. Yeah, right on. They got that huge deficit or whatever. There's no way America could pay for that. And blam, it turns out, Snowden. This stuff is happening. Project Five Eyes, Prism. Yeah, when I say those words, people are like automatically shutting their minds off. No, it didn't happen. Man, look up Contra. Seriously, you think your government's talent is pulling a perfect game and has never screwed up? Come on, I lie to my kids all the time, and sometimes it's for the best. Sometimes it is for the best, because sometimes not knowing is chaos, and that chaos can have you looking at that void. But seriously, at the end of the day, I want to get people away from that void. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I know people who are like. In the winter, it's too cold. They wish it could get warmer. In the summer, it's too hot. They wish it could get colder. They have a perfect day, and they wake up, and they have a perfect day. They wake up, and the light coming through their window only makes them think that they wish they were never born. They wish they had a superpower that would just remove them from the timeline without hurting anybody. And I want to be able to bring those people back. And if I can prove magic exists, I think that I can prove nihilism is wrong. And honestly, that's what I want to do. I want to take that nihilism card out of there. I want to give people some hope, because while you might not believe in Christianity or any of that stuff, if you give up, if you suspend disbelief and give up your free will to be, I don't mean to offend Christians, but Christians, this is just so I can help them understand, okay? If you can give up your free will, you can get a book that gives you the answers to almost everything. And some people need that. And some people need to be worried about going to hell, or they're going to do some crazy, stupid things. The craziest people, the craziest times I've ever had in my life were times when I was a nihilist. And I've seen friends that way too. It's all of a sudden something throws them into chaos. And anyways, yeah. I just want to prove magic exists so that I can prove nihilism is wrong, basically. At the end of the day. I got some toys. I want to try some stuff. And I'd like some help. If any of you out there would like to offer me some help. I got some tests that I'm going to be trying soon. Anyways, like the Ouija board, I want to test. I think there's room. I think just because the Ouija board could be said it's something from your subconscious doesn't mean we should stop there. I think it's time that we explored the subconscious a little bit, maybe with some spiritual help. Because what if spiritual was just in our mind? What if to understand the mind we needed to use a key that was a little bit mystical? What if mysticism is part of our minds that can only be unlocked with faith? What if we can't understand the mind without a little bit of faith? You always got to have a little bit of bad. With the good, you always have to have a little bit bad within the good within the bad, right? So, let's face it, at both ends of the spectrum, there are horrible things, especially when it comes to politically. At the far left, nobody knows how far the far left has to go to be too far. But at the far left, we have chaos. We have people dying in Russian fields, getting shot in the head for trying to glean some wheat from the field so that their kids wouldn't starve. And the left forgets all about that. And they fly under a banner like that, even in Guelph, even in my local. It just drives me nuts. And then over here, of course, we have the Nazis. And I don't have to tell you anything about them. Wow, I don't need to tell you. Geez, seriously. We all know about the Nazis. That's just too much to think about right now, either way. But anyways, we can get carried away going too far one way or the other. Our lives are a lot better than they used to be. And kids these days don't have to worry about being hungry or being warm or worrying about where their next meal comes from. So now what they're worried about is their hearts. We're getting our emotions pinged a lot on TV, and I'm wondering what that is going to be doing to us in the long run. Because man, the dramas have gotten so much better. I'm not sure if you've noticed, love stories have been getting a lot better, and everything's getting better. And I see kids growing up without the fear of needing a meal or a warm place, and they're just growing up. They're growing up, and they just have these hearts that need to be full. Their hearts are getting bigger and bigger, and oh man, the hearts are just getting bigger and bigger, and they can't handle things so much anymore. Anyways, that's part. I'm sorry, I'm putting that in the wrong part here, but that is the introduction to what I'm going to be doing within the next little bit. Like and subscribe if you like this stuff. Always appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with me. If you stuck with me through this whole thing, always appreciate it. And buckle up, Dorothy. It's going to get interesting. I know you're used to tornadoes, but I'm going to take you down the rabbit hole real quick here.